Hey guys, welcome to Lambo Chat episode 2. I've got a very interesting story for you today about somebody pretending that my car is theirs. Now, this isn't your standard story where somebody just takes a picture with my car and sends it to their friends to pretend it's theirs to show off. It's a little bit more serious of a story, talking about somebody who actually pretended that my car was theirs to promote their business, pretend that they're doing better than they actually are, and to sell a service for thousands of dollars to people who are wanting to achieve the same thing. So it's a very interesting story with some twists, and I think you guys will definitely find it entertaining. But really quickly, before we hop in the Lambo, I really quickly have a request. If you guys have any suggestions for a better name for this series other than Lambo Chat, please post it down in the comment section below. It's just a simple series where I sit down and I tell a story or maybe potentially teach a lesson about something important that you guys might find entertaining. So if you have any comments, any suggestions for that, please leave it in the comment section below. Let's hop in the Lambo. All right, guys, so now we're in the Lambo. Not going to do anything crazy today because the weather's not great. We're entering that time of year where Portland is just, it's not going to be great for the rest of the year pretty much. So got to enjoy what we can do. But essentially, I'm going to go for a little bit of a drive and then talk about the story. But really quickly, I do have a disclaimer. So part of this video, I'm going to be talking about the fact that this guy rented my car. And so I do want to mention, because I don't have video sponsors or anything like that, not big enough to have any of that, that I do rent this car out. And so if you have any interest in renting my Lamborghini Huracan and potentially future cars, because I do want to build a fleet in the future, shoot me a DM on Instagram at RyanPatT_GTR or message me on YouTube or anything like that. I'm happy to discuss. I rent it out on Turo for cheaper, and then I rent it out directly for more. You have to be 30 plus to rent it on Turo, and then if you are under 30, you can rent it directly still. But if you are interested in that, shoot me a DM, and yeah, let's get into it. So, really quickly, put it into sport mode. So going for a little bit of a drive here. Again, engine's cold, weather's not great, so not going to do anything crazy, anything super fun, but at least going for a little bit of a drive. I want to remind you guys, I absolutely love the V10 in this car. I love the comfortability of this car. Yes, these bucket seats are not the most comfortable. Also, there's some fuzz on my seat that I thought was a tear that scared me. These seats aren't the most comfortable, but the comfortability overall of the car is amazing. There's a reason why people daily these, or put a lot of miles on these versus a lot of the other supercars, because these are really comfortable and they're quite reliable cars. So if you ever have a chance to own a Lamborghini Huracan, I highly recommend it at some point. It's a great car. But getting into the story here, so essentially I'm going to start from essentially where everything began. So going back to the beginning, I used to rent out my GTR, and I rented it out for quite a while on Turo. It was a very successful venture, really happy with it, and I decided to do the same for my Huracan. I didn't buy the Huracan with the intention of renting it out, but I didn't drive the car a ton, and I felt like it was a better idea if I, did rent it out from time to time to make some income while I'm not driving the car, because, again, not driving the car a ton. So I decided to list my car on Turo a while ago. This is back in summertime. Listed the car, and it was quite successful. Started getting rentals right off the bat. I do hear a fire truck somewhere. I'm not sure where though. Oh, there's the fire truck. Okay, I gotta pull over. Sorry, gotta let the fire truck by. They're going to the hospital. That's interesting. Okay. Well, interesting story. Something could be going on there. But it started doing very well from the get-go. I listed the car at a low price. My intention was to raise the price as time goes on to get it to a more appropriate price. So because I listed it low, I started getting rentals very quickly, and shortly after I listed the car, I got 2 rentals back to back, and they were for a ways out, and then I had more rentals coming in that were further down the line. Someone actually rented the car early on for like 3 months from when they had booked the car. So it created, a lot of hope that this was going to be a successful venture. And honestly, I really enjoyed renting the car out. It's been great. There's been some not so great experiences. There's been this experience, which is not so great but weird. And then there's just been some not so great experiences in general, but overall it's been a great experience. I've loved renting the car out. I've had a great time. And essentially, I had back-to-back rentals. So the first renter, and then I want to say it was less than a week later, the second renter. The first renter went off without a hitch. Guy had a great time. I had a great time renting to him. He asked some really good questions, kind of taught me some things that'll help me with renting the car out in the future, and just overall had a great time. That one went off without a hitch, other than I did have a check engine light come on as he was returning the car. It was something tiny, fixed it. It was, again, absolutely nothing. And yeah, really nothing to complain about with that experience. Then we move on to the second renter. So this was probably, I think, 4 or 5 days after the first renter returned the car that I had the second rental. And this is only the second rental on the car. Going into it, I had some worries, or not really worries, just something felt weird about it. And I'm going to say something that might be controversial. I might upset some people. I don't know. It's not my intention. I don't stereotype people to make decisions. I don't judge people that way. I just got a weird feeling from this because of certain stereotypes that I've learned about while renting my cars out and while talking to other people who have rented their cars out. And the simple fact of the matter is that cars like this Lamborghini Huracan, cars like my GTR, nicer sports cars, they attract a certain crowd. And typically, women are not likely to rent this car. In fact, in all of the rentals that I've done on this car and on the GTR, I've only had 2 women rent the car. One was renting the car for her husband. It was a surprise. It was the GTR. It was his dream car. She actually stole his license so that way she could submit it, and that way he could drive the car. He'd be the one driving it for the entire rental. It was a complete surprise for him, so that one made absolute sense. The other one was a younger woman in her lower 30s who just wanted a car that was really sporty with, well, essentially something that she could have fun with, that she could take her boyfriend / fiance up to Seattle. They could both have a blast. They could share driving, that type of thing. So that one also made sense because it was a younger driver. But what was really weird, what kind of threw me off with this renter, the second rental, was that it was a middle-aged woman who was renting the car, which is just not really natural or not normal for this type of rental. Now, again, I'm not one to judge. If a middle-aged woman, or even an older woman, or even a middle-aged man or an older man wants to rent a car like this, they're more than welcome to. It's just not normal. So something felt off from the get-go. I didn't make any decisions or prevent them from renting because of it. I just went into it thinking this is a little bit odd. Next, what was really weird was this woman, this middle-aged woman, had no rental experience on her Turo account. She hadn't rented from Turo before, which isn't weird, but the weird fact about it was that she asked absolutely no questions whatsoever when I asked her if she had any questions. When somebody rents the car, it creates a chat between me and the renter. And in that chat, I give them some information about the car, I give them some information about the rental and what to expect, and then I ask them if they have any questions. And most people have questions, especially those who don't have much experience renting on Turo. I've had plenty of people who've never rented a car before on Turo, and they ask usually 3, 4, 5 questions about the rental, which are good questions, and that kind of keeps the conversation going. I can answer those questions. I'm happy to help. But it's because of their lack of experience renting cars, especially on Turo, that they have these questions. And this individual had absolutely no questions from the get-go, which felt weird to me. The next thing that was kind of odd about it was a service that some people offer on Turo is a delivery and pickup service, where you can have the car delivered to you, do the rental, and then have it picked up from that same location. That way, people who are, flying in, they can have it dropped off at the airport, the car's ready waiting for them there, and then they can just drop it off back at the airport when they're done with the rental. This is a service that I absolutely want to offer in the future when I have the capability of doing so, but because I live by myself, I can't really do that for the time being. What was interesting was this individual messaged me asking if I can do a delivery and drop off, and I gave them the usual spiel of I wish I could, but unfortunately I can't because I live alone, all that stuff. And they responded with, looking at the map, I live very close to you. It shouldn't be a very long drive for the pickup and the drop off, and I'll happily pay you for your Uber fees plus more. And so I decided to look at their address, figure out where they are, and see how long of a rental or see how long of a drive it would be, see how long of an Uber. And they were right. They were less than 10 minutes away from where I live. So looking at the Uber costs, I quoted them a certain amount and I said this would cover the Uber costs and then some. So I think that'd be a fair price. They agreed to it. But it was just weird that, they rented the car asking for delivery and pickup when that wasn't a service that was offered. Just kind of, all of these things by themselves wouldn't have meant much of anything, but all of them together, I went into this with just a little bit of a weird feeling. So the day of the rental comes, and what's really nice about the delivery is I can deliver it at the time. I don't have to worry about timing an Uber drive or anything like that. I just deliver the car, go through my usual spiel, then I can Uber back home. And so I am looking forward to being able to offer that service in the future. But the day of, I go to deliver the car, I go to drop it off, so I'm driving there, and I noticed first thing, it's a very nice house. They clearly have money, and nothing seems off about that. I park it in the driveway, I get out, and I start doing my usual check-in kind of procedure, which is taking pictures of the car, checking the mileage, checking the fuel, everything like that. It's pretty standard, pretty straightforward, doesn't take a lot of time. But I do notice over on the other side of the driveway, it's a pretty big driveway, there is a service van, or a work van essentially, that has a detailing business on the side of it, which seemed a little bit off. But again, it's not the end of the world, because there are other things that people could be detailing aside from cars, or they could be detailing another car, or maybe they have a tenant who lives in a different part of the house who works there. There's a million different things that could be going on. And so I didn't think too much of it. Time to shut down the car though before I waste too much gas and pollute the environment. So what ended up happening next was a little bit weird. A lady comes walking out of the house, and I can tell it's the lady who rented the car. She takes a step out, she looks around, and then she goes back inside the house. Or she said 1 minute, went back inside the house. And then a couple minutes later, she comes back out, and there is what looks like a 20 to maybe 22-year-old guy with her, who is probably her son, I assume is her son, and would probably be pretty safe in that assumption that it is her son. So immediately, alarm bells are kind of going off in my head. This is likely one of the cases where somebody rents the car so that way somebody under the age of 30 can drive it, which is against Turo's rules. However, I can't deny the rental unless they say that that's what they're doing, which they didn't say. And on top of that, I can't really be blamed if I follow all the rules, I rent it to the person, and then they break the rules when I'm not there by letting somebody else drive the car. There's risk involved there, but again, most of that risk falls on them, and really there's not a lot that can be done unless I know for a fact that somebody under the age of 30 is going to drive the car, which I didn't. I just had a feeling that that was the case. And I guarantee that if I had asked and specified the rules, they would have denied that somebody under 30 would have driven the car. And at this point, I had no idea. So I thought that was a red flag for sure. But what kind of reassured me a little bit was the fact that the woman who rented the car didn't speak much English. She came out, and I'm trying to go through the usual procedures with her, covering all the important information about the car and the rental. And there's quite a few times where the guy had to come in and translate something. He spoke completely fluent English, and she did not. So he was translating some. And so it was absolutely a possibility that she was renting it for herself or for the family, and she just happened to have her younger son translating for her. So that was, absolutely a possibility at this point. I wasn't really feeling terrible about the situation. I had my suspicions, but again, there are explanations for a lot of these things, and by themselves, they really don't add up to much. But when you combine them, that's when it becomes a lot more of a red flag. Now, what ended up happening was I'm going through all of my procedures, and one of the last things that I cover is please don't wash the car. The car has a ceramic coat on it, so please don't wash it. And most people, are totally okay with that. After I said that and went through the usual spiel of why it's not a good idea to wash the car, or why it's not a good idea for renters to wash the car when it has a ceramic coat on it, the guy comes over to me and he says, so I run a detailing business, connects why the van is there in the driveway. And I was looking to rent the car, or have the car be rented for some promotional material for the business. I would detail your car inside and out. I know how ceramic coat works. He knew. I talked to him a little bit about it, and he clearly knew how to use pH neutral soaps, how to use the right cloth, the right brush, whatever it is, to make sure that you're protecting that ceramic coat. And so he was saying that he would create this promotional material for his mobile detailing business. And I'm like, that's great. That actually sounds really awesome, because what would happen is my car would get it clean inside and out, which they did do. And I would also get paid for a two-day rental, and then there would be some promotional material created with my car. That sounds like a great all-around plan. I come out on top regardless. And I told him, hey, if you do that, I'd love to see the promotional material. He's like, absolutely. That'd be, that's definitely doable. So I dropped the car off, finished, I'm feeling good about this because this is like such a sweet deal for me. Uber home, go through the rental, everything goes off without a hitch. I go to pick up the car. 2 days later, Uber there, and when I get there, the car's sitting out front with the top down. It's looking pristine inside and out, meaning they detailed the interior and the exterior. Chatted with him a little bit, and it sounded like nothing he said indicated that he drove the car or that anybody under 30 drove the car. And basically, he was just saying that it was a beautiful car. They detailed it. They did this, that, and the other, and that they did create some material with the car. Again, I responded, and he also mentioned that they went to a spot, this kind of cool spot that I want to go to, where they took some cool pictures. And so I was like, if you can send me any of the promotional material, any of the pictures, I'd love to see it. And that's honestly true. I wasn't like suspicious or anything. I truly just wanted to see the material that included my car. So I drive the car back. Car's looking great. No damage or anything like that. They cleaned it well. So I truly felt like I came out on top in this situation. But what ended up happening was a few days later, a few days after the rental ended, he texts me and he sends me these pictures. He sent me, I think it was 3 pictures in the woods, and then 1 picture where he has the car parked in front of his mobile detailing business sign, clearly at the detailing business. And it had clearly just been washed. And I'm like, this is great. These pictures are awesome. It's really cool to have this. I'm telling myself I'm going to post these sometime before terribly long. Well, a couple weeks go by. I completely forgot about it. I'm not the best at posting on Instagram, as anybody who follows my Instagram knows. And it was actually a day where I was going to watch my cousin perform at the Youth Silent Film Festival. He plays the pipe organ, and it's this really cool festival. I'm not going to talk a ton about it because I think it's actually ending. But I was going to watch my cousin perform in this thing, and so I was getting ready to go, and I was sitting there, decided, hey, I'm going to post these photos that this guy sent me. I'm going to share what my car looks like in these woods and share the experience and shout him out essentially, because he did me a solid. He washed my car, detailed it interior, exterior, and he paid me 2-day rental for it. Plus he didn't even use all of the miles. He used about half of the miles he had allotted for that trip. So all in all, I came out on top. I decided to promote him a little bit. I decided to give him a little bit of a shout out. And so I posted to Instagram with the tree photos and then the photo of his detailing business, and I included a note about the detailing business, and I tagged him in it and left it, and that was it. My aunt and uncle picked me up, and we went to the Youth Silent Film Festival in downtown Portland to go watch this performance. And on the way there, I get a comment on the post saying, I thought this was his car. Now, that might sound like a really big red flag, but it actually wasn't a red flag, for the simple fact of, back when I sold the GTR, a little while after I sold the GTR, I actually rented a Huracan myself, a Huracan Evo from Zadart. And I made a post about that, and I included in the post that, hey, this is a rental car, this is not my car. And I still had people commenting, oh, you bought a Lambo, or you bought a Huracan, congratulations. People thinking that the car was mine when it wasn't, and I clearly stated that it wasn't. So I thought maybe this guy had created promotional material for his detailing business, advertising his detailing business, and he had just happened to either, not completely mention that it was a rental, or maybe he did mention that it was a rental, and people were still thinking that it was his car, because not everybody reads the caption of every post. So even though it was odd, I didn't think of it as the biggest red flag. It didn't jump out at me all that much. Until further along, we're getting closer to our destination, and I start getting more comments saying, I thought that was his car. He's pretending that this car is his. This is your car? Those types of comments. And I even got some messages from people, primarily detailing businesses, stating that he is pretending that the car is his. A bunch of people sent me this post of his where he's sitting on the Lambo, and supposedly he had mentioned that people thought this was a rental, this is not a rental, that type of thing. But at the time, because I was getting close to the destination, I didn't have time to really look into it too much, but I had an inkling of what was going on, that he had pretended that the car was his to advertise his detailing business or what have you. I didn't realize how bad it was until I get a message from one of my buddies, Mark, who is a detailer himself and who is looking more into this. And basically, what he found out was that this guy was advertising a service. So he wasn't using my car to advertise his detailing business. I could understand that, and I'd respect that. If you were promoting your business, your detailing business, saying, hey, we detail exotics, here's an exotic that we detailed, that's great. That's exactly what I thought would happen. But that's not what they did. What he was doing was he was pretending that the car was his so he could sell a service, saying that his detailing business is so big that he can afford buying a Lamborghini Huracan and a Tesla and all these other things. And you should buy his multiple $1,000 service where he'll teach you how to grow your business as well. So essentially misrepresenting his business and the success of his business so that people would buy this service for an immense amount of money, all the while using my car pretending that it was his. And so what happened after that is I actually went into the theater, and we were taking our seats, getting ready for the show to start, when I get a text from the guy. And in the text, he admits to what's going on. He admits that he had used it in order to sell the service. And in the same text, he had requested that I remove the post, which I denied doing. And he said, please remove the photo in front of the business sign. He asked me to remove the tag of him in the post, and then he asked me to delete all of the comments that were calling him out. And so I responded with, I will delete the post in front of your business. If you don't want your business showing in my post on Instagram, I will respect that. Even if I don't respect what you're doing, I will respect that. I also will remove the tag. I will not tag anyone that does not want to be tagged. If you do not want to be tagged, even if I have a grudge against you or an issue with you, I will still remove that tag. I'm totally fine not tagging anybody in a post. But I basically told him to fuck off when it came to the comments. I am not about deleting comments. Deleting comments is dishonest. I mean, I guess deleting like the spammers who post the nonsense stuff where they're trying to get you to go to a certain page type thing, that's a little bit different. But the true comments, whether they're positive or negative, it's dishonest to delete them, so I don't delete any comments. And that's what I told him. He seemed to accept that, and we moved on. We haven't spoken since then. So I wasn't really sure how to handle it at that point, because there's nothing I can really do. I don't own the content of this car. I own the car, but if somebody takes a picture with my car, they own that picture, they own that video, what have you. They can post it if they want. They can monetize it if they want. They can pretend that the car is theirs, and I can't do anything about it. So I've had people asking me, why haven't I reached out to him and asked him to take these posts down and stop pretending that my car is his? And the real reason is because I don't have any recourse to. I don't have any true claim to the content to say that he should do that. And also, I know people like this. He's not going to do it. If I messaged him to take it down, he wouldn't, because he paid quite a bit of money to rent the car for 2 days in order to make this promotional material. Now, admittedly, he is selling a service for a god-awful amount of money, but still, I don't have any recourse, and I really don't think he would actually do it. And if I were to post a comment calling him out on his posts, he would just delete the comment and block me like he did to everybody who was calling him out. I got so many messages from detailing businesses who thought he was this totally legitimate guy, and all of them were going to his post, were flaming him, but all of them were getting deleted and blocked by him because, you know, he has to maintain that certain status of a legitimate businessman. And quite honestly, I can't say he's a scammer because I don't know. A scammer is somebody, it would be a scam if his service legitimately didn't work, or you paid $6,000 or whatever it is, and then you don't get any sort of service in return for that payment. So it's really hard to say whether he's a scammer or not, because I don't know what you get for that service. But what I can say is that he is extremely misleading in his representation of his business, and he's extremely misleading in his advertising. And those are two things that I will absolutely never do with my businesses. You know, I don't sell a course, but I sell one-on-one training sessions where I literally sit down with a person. I teach them about stocks or options, trading, charting, investing, what have you. I teach them about that, and I charge way less. I charge $75 for an hour-long session, and he charges thousands and thousands of dollars for a service that he has to misleadingly advertise in order to sell. So it's just a weird situation all around. And I honestly don't know how to take it. I don't know what to do next. I don't know if there is anything to do next. And actually, after posting a story to Instagram asking you guys, I've had people message me that apparently he has done it again. He did it with a McLaren in more recently, and I believe it was a 720S with a different rental business. So it's really weird. I don't know what to do. I don't know what can be done, but it creates an interesting situation. And definitely for anybody out there, if you see a matte gray Lamborghini Huracan Spider in the Pacific Northwest, it's probably mine. It's probably not whoever is pretending it's theirs. So yeah, it's just a weird situation. It's a weird story all around. But that's really all I have on the story. Again, if you guys have any suggestions about what can be done, leave them in the comment section below. Also, if you have any suggestions about what better to call this series, let me know in the comment section below. And lastly, again, to reiterate, if you have any interest in renting this car out, shoot me a DM or check it out on Turo in the Portland area. It really is a fun car to rent. So if you are wanting to, have a little bit of fun and enjoy a really nice, fun, beautiful, sexy car, definitely check out potentially renting it. Well, that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to comment, rate, and subscribe. And let me know if you have any suggestions about any of this. It's very weird. Very weird to say the least. Yeah. Have a good day, guys.